Compressed.
All right. So my name is Christian. I help run an internet radio station here in San Diego called Particle FM. Um, we are like a DIY non-commercial internet radio station. We have over 50 shows. We are pushing to give underrepresented artists a platform here in San Diego to share their music, to do radio shows. And we're teaming up with Bernal Books. So, this is Nick, to do an event called Compressed, which takes place July 22nd. It's noon to 6 p.m. And it's going to be a zine and music fair here in San Diego. We'll definitely come back to that and talk about it at the end. But today we're just going to do a beginner zine workshop. I'll hand it off to Nick.
Cool. Yeah, if anybody has any questions in the Zoom, you could just type them into the chat. We have our eyes on it and we'll answer them when we can. So my name's Nick and I am, I guess, a founder of Bernal Books and like 1/6 member. What we do is risograph printing, but also zine making workshops, printmaking. And we're in our studio right now in North Park. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna jump right into this. I kind of have like a camera facing down right now that I can kind of show you really quick. And our Christian's gonna pop over there. And this is gonna be sort of what we're gonna go over today. If anybody wants to follow along, there you go. Okay, cool. So we can switch back. So, okay, great. This is complete beginner's course on zine making. So some of you might have heard this sort of stuff before, but basically zines have been as they are now since kind of the 60s, when kind of Xerox printing was not just like invented, but before that there was also mimeograph printing, which was like a hand crank printer. Around that time we had Xerox and it became kind of more accessible to use it, maybe around the 70s and 80s. So around that time you have kind of like the dawn of the internet. A lot of people who were at the forefront had access to the internet. Back then, people who had access to printing methods, they found that they were actually really cheap methods. So you have people who kind of interests lie within technology. So you have like people who are into science fiction, people who are into like Dungeons and Dragons, Star Trek. So you start off with a lot of these fan zines, which is basically short for fan magazine, where you would just take like a letter-sized piece of paper, fold it, you would make a copy of like your like typewritten or handwritten text, add some images, and you pass it around at like a convention, or most likely you would like be mailing it to people who would sign up. Not just fantasy, but also I think I know somebody who in the 70s was doing like a fanzine for boxing. So really like any interest that you have, this was sort of the outlet. And around like the 80s and 90s, actually like, yeah, more in like the 80s, it kind of became an outlet for like music fanzines for people writing about like sharing like their favorite takes on like punk albums or including like photos they took at shows. And then the 90s is kind of where it like really took off into something else, sort of like a personal project thing. And you kind of see like diary fanzines, you see something that they call perzines, which is a personal zine. And it's sort of more of somebody's like experience more than anything. Of course, there's still review zines, but now they're getting kind of more really niche and interesting. And then from there, you have like the dawn of the internet, where zines sort of took a back seat to like blogging and other forms of sharing, like, and that became social media. But kind of at that point, I think zines became interesting again because it was something that was outside of that structure and something that could also be looked at as like an art form into itself. And so now like the medium itself was interesting. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about that today because there are a few common tools that we have when it comes to zine making. Mostly you have your stapler. This is our version of it. This is called a saddle stitch stapler, the booklet stapler. But you know, you're probably more familiar with this. And then I also have this one here, which is a heavy duty stapler. So that's sort of the most traditional way to bind a zine is through stapling. As you can tell from taking a sheet of paper, if you have like a letter sheet of paper, just a traditional staple won't go to the middle of it. So you have things like long arm staplers, which went missing from my studio, and then a booklet stapler, which here's a good example. I'm going to use this thing, which basically the zine kind of sits on it like that, and you're kind of stapling all the pages together that way. Beyond that, beyond the staplers, we have a paper cutter, and you could use scissors, but there's a lock here. But as you can see there, that's kind of how you're trimming paper. I mentioned that because, you know, earlier I mentioned how the zine was maybe the stapler's too small for like a normal size zine. Well, your zine doesn't have to be that size. You can maybe cut yours down to a size that's manageable with like the tools you have. And that's kind of my, like, if you're to take away anything from this, it would be to adapt your zine to what the tools are that you have. So if you were to take this and just staple it, oh, there's no staples. You're gonna have it that kind of fits your means. Same with like copy machine. That's kind of the main tool of copying it. It's just like anything you have, whether it's like a home copy machine or something you have like at work or like the church you go to or something. I don't know. Wherever you can find one, just like use it. We use a Brother copy machine for a lot of stuff. And then behind me, you can see the risographs. I'm pointing, there we go. That's one of them there. And that's like a big copy machine with like proprietary ink in it and stuff. We could talk about that. If anybody has questions about that, we can maybe talk about that at the end. So we're going to make kind of the easiest zines here right now. And if Christian could switch it. See any questions, but stop me if I'm going too fast. I feel like I'm kind of rushing through this.
You can also, if you can type in the chat if you're participating virtually, and we'll see your questions.
Yeah. So there's two kinds of zines I'm going to focus on, and then three, and then we could talk about some other things. First is a single page zine. And right here I have 11 by 17 sheet of paper, but this could easily be just like a letter sheet like this. Really any shape here. We're going to make a zine out of just this piece of paper. That's going to be, I guess 6 pages and then a front and back cover. So if you have a paper with you, kind of follow along. You're going to do the classic hot dog fold. This is a big one. It's a big hot dog. And you want that crease right there in the middle. And then you're going to do the burger fold, sandwich folds. And then you're going to fold it again. And that's the easiest way to get your creases on there, which is going to be guiding you to how like the scene's going to look. So yeah, I'm going to do it one more time. So hot dog fold. And then you can unfold it. And one more after that. And what you want to count is 8 squares total. See the creases. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cool. So I'm on the right track. Okay. And then I'm going to pass around scissors because our scissors also went missing. But before I do that, look, can I see the scissors really quick? I'll do it on the screen first. So you see how there's kind of this, I've pinched it up. And so we now have like this triangle, this pyramid. And you can see that there's this line here that connects. So you're just going to cut down with these sewing machine scissors. There we go. And yeah, when we pass those around for people. Sorry, I'm gonna. And so now we have that slit that's in the middle. And now if we fold it kind of hot dog style again. We have ourselves a single page zine.
Nice.
And what's cool about these is that you can design it. I have an example for if anybody wants to take like a screenshot right here of how you would design that before you would fold. So you have your page numbers and the front and your back cover and where they go.
Somebody asked, what size paper is this?
So this is 11 by 17. So it's much bigger than like your normal copy machine, but this is what you get with a copy machine, like letter sheet paper. Like this is just like your normal run-of-the-mill printer paper. It would be about this size. So that's a good question. Whatever paper you have that's accessible to you is what you should be using. But as you can see here, that's how it goes. And then does everybody use the scissors? I'll take them. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So cool, yeah. So take a picture of that template, and that's how you want to design your single page zine. Can I show the pinching method again? Yeah, I'm gonna do it on the letter this time. So you did all your folds, you see where they are, and that's what it looks like on the bottom. And then you take those two parts, and then you find where your cover is, and you have your cover, your back cover, and your interior pages. So the thing you're going to find with your copy machine, and this is good for all like zine making, is you got to just figure out if your copy machine prints full bleed or not. Because a lot of copy machines, they're sort of, oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
This is okay. So you kind of have this like border. This is like a really like kind of quick way to draw it out. Beyond this, you might not get printing past here. So you want your information, your details to kind of live within that area. And you can do like a test print and discover what that is for you. I generally keep stuff a 1/4 inch inside the border. But because you see there's no borders along here and here, you kind of can do some things that are interesting. Like here's an example of a finished one where you see you have like this spread now where the image and the work kind of can continue. So this is a mini comic done in the style. And when I unfold it, you're going to see here is kind of, it was made exactly the same way. So it might be good for you to know to yourself, like what pages are spreads. And from the look of it here, 1, 2 are spreads. right? If we reference our giants back cover thing, let's see. So they kind of did it a different way. They did it with their cover over here and their back cover over here. But it's worth just making like a dummy copy, putting it together and figuring out where your spreads are, because that could be interesting. You can make your work larger. I wonder if I have another one.
Can we pass this around maybe?
Yeah. And then you can even see like a simplified version or like a completely different kind of take on the theme. Here's just another normal letter size sheet of paper. And this person introduced like a print on the back of theirs. And there's no cutting on this one. This one's just a simple 2 folds. And it's really great. And they use this nice like orange salmon paper to kind of like make that black like really pop. I'll pass that around. So there's variations on it on the single page. But yeah, putting a poster on the back, that's kind of a classic move. Like, how cool is it to just open, to have somebody be like, oh, this is so like interesting, like what's going on? And then they open it and then you have like a mini print in the back. Okay, before I move on to the next one, any questions?
I think we're good.
Okay, so now I'm going to do a booklet, and this time I want to show an example first. And a booklet is kind of what you've seen if you've seen the zine before. This is letter size pieces of paper, collated, folded, printed on like a nice printer. This looks like either a nice home printer or they took it into a copy shop to have it made. And we're just testing to see. Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
Okay, I'm gonna just keep going. Let us know if you can't. So what I have are a few pieces of paper here. And this is gonna be kind of the buildup of my booklet style zine. You can see I have cover written on here and back cover, as well as inside front cover and inside back cover. So I'm making, I guess, what would be my template copy. So this is what I'm going to make before I start laying out my zines. I'm going to take the sheets of paper that like I suspect I'm going to be like filling it up with. So 4 here. And I'm just going to take the whole thing and I'm going to fold it right in half. And then I'm going to write the cover, inside cover. And then I'm going to write each page in order right in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, inside back cover, and the back cover. So this is my template, and this is what is going to help me with my layouts. And in that way, like you kind of can take it apart, deconstruct it, and now you see where your design work goes. So you see that when you're taping your images or taping your text, or if you're working on InDesign or Photoshop or whatever it is, or like a free like web software, you want to set your dimensions for 8.5 by 11 in this case, and kind of like maybe pull like that middle like guide in the middle, and then start numbering them like this. And now you can kind of see where everything's going to go. 8.5 by 11. Yeah, it's in the back too. So now, no matter how I mix them up, whatever, like I'm working on them, I'm taping stuff. I can still know where things go. and I can still find the order. And then these are the spreads that you're going to make the copies of. So when you use the copy machine, the Xerox machine, you're going to scan them directly like from there. And then when you take all your copies, you're going to put them in the order using this as your guide. And I'd also recommend like making like a master copy that you don't ever fold. Like you would print it out and you'd file it away so that if you need to make more copies. I'd say, if you're unsure how many copies of your first zine to make, 20 is a good amount. Like they're going to be things that you trade for and things that you give away, and ideally send them. So send them out. So we'll talk about that in distribution, but like, yeah, just start with any number, really. Like 10 to 20, I think is a good amount for your first zine. Like I really recommend just doing it, just making it and not really overthinking it. But because you're like, the process is kind of going to be what you develop. Like there's not going to be like a perfect zine. So to just make it and to learn from that first time you make it is really kind of like the priority with zines. Oops. Okay. So now this should be in order. And so from here, say I made all my copies, and this is kind of what my first copy is going to be. I'm going to like just staple it in the 2 spots. And I'm picking 2 because that's what I'm used to doing, but you could do like 1 staple in the middle. You could do the staples on the end. You could do 3. When it comes to staple binding, like it just really takes 1 staple. So have fun, like experiment with that. And then beyond stapling, there are other methods to binding.
Can I hand this out?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And this hopefully is in order. And then I'm going to show how to do kind of like a quick and easy sewing method. Like if anybody works with needle and thread, you're gonna like have lots of fun with this. This isn't the way I really do things, but I had lots of fun kind of making this example here. But essentially, you're gonna want to cut a piece of thread that's about 3 times the length as your zine is tall. So I kind of did like a zigzag, and then I cut that down. A lot of people make like rigs for this, and a rig would basically be what I'm making now, like a perfect example that you would overlay when you poke your holes, because you're going to be poking 3 holes in this. I do 3, people have done 5. I've seen like 1 million, but essentially I'm finding my holes. There's 1. I'm gonna do 1 over here. I would ideally measure this, but no biggie. I wouldn't personally measure it, but people do.
Can you show people sitting down?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like how you put the holes in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just poked holes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I go down into the zine from the top. Okay, and then I pick the right side to come up. And then I go all the way around and go down into the bottom. And then I come back up into the middle. And then what I have are kind of both of my loose ends at the top poking out. And so these can be as long as you desire. I'm going to just tie it here. And then, yeah, here's my example from earlier. I did the same way. And, this is a piece of thread, but you could use whatever you have. Like if you have floss, if you have yarn, if you have, I don't know, excessive shoelaces, I don't know. You can kind of go with everything. Like this is,
There's a question.
oh, sure. Yeah. Oh,
I was gonna mention you could talk about using binder clips.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so binder clips that you don't have in here right now, like to just kind of like hold everything in place, like kind of clamp it. Is that, or you do it like this,
Mhm.
like this and like this, huh? Yeah, so you'd clamp like these ends, because you'd have your all of your paper in there. It's much easier to show you with one than it is to show you with a few, because you kind of really got to be, and you can see I messed up this one. There's like space on the top. That's like a preference. If you think that, if that bothers you, then, but you can clamp them here and kind of get more accuracy there.
Can I hand that out?
Yeah, this one here. Yeah. This is an example of somebody who bound it with just some string, and these are two. So they bound this side separately from this side. So they just did it like that, like almost like the string itself are staples. And then there are examples here. Test that out. There you go. Where this person did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 holes. And they probably watched some TV and just like did a bunch of these in a row. And it really holds it together well. And it's good thick string too. Like mine's probably way too thin. Oh, Eileen here did this, found this one. This is Stacy's Radical History Club zine. And there was a method to this. Pamphlet stitch, it's called. 5 holes. And it's really good string. It's like really waxy. So I think they make like a book binding string. And I don't know, I just want to show this one off too, because it has these really cool things included in here.
Nice.
Like this was done with a sewing machine, added a little tag on there. And then you have like it's a beautiful zine. I'm gonna pass this one around too. And this one as well. And here's the staple bound one. Okay. This is a great way to bind a zine if you have a really short stapler. You just really take stapler. Yeah, this mini one. Like look how you don't have to reach that far to staple to bind that. And you're using full like letter size sheets. So this is just like printer paper. And the author, the artist, they only printed on one side of it too. So if I focus on their art, Haley. And then you have this great pink cover that really like kind of draws your eye to it. And then like you have that nice contrast with the white. Here's a great example of more like kind of, it has this string itself is striped, the edges are cut, and so you can buy like a tool for this at any craft store. It's not super like easy and it kind of takes a lot of time, but this person dedicated themselves to it, so it's really cool to see. It comes with a big bookmark, shiny bookmark. It's fun. Oh yeah, here's another example of like that, of the page kind of color being in contrast to the cover. And again, they use pink and white, but they did it in the opposite way. And it just really makes the line work pop on here. So this is like, I'm showing a lot of art zines, but I also like to show Like this is a review zine, again, pink, but also a gray paper. And the shape of this is really cool. It feels like a little booklet, maybe like that you get from somebody like, I don't know, trying to get you to their church or whatever. But instead it's a zine about all the cars that this guy owns. And like it's about him like traveling from Texas to San Diego. So you get like this really cool kind of personal look through just this review zine. There's a list of all the cars. And you get a good photo and like stories about each one. I really like this one. Oh yeah, and a couple more single page options that you can do is, this is just one sheet of paper. So all the text is inside. It's essentially like a big poem. And then this was mailed to me. So the person like sealed it with like clear stickers and just put it in the mail just like that. That's one letter size. And this is from Hate Paste. And again, another letter size sheet of paper and folded up like a brochure. And this right here is a stamp. So incorporating stamps on a zine is like a fun way to kind of like individualize them. So you can, you know, you make your 20 copies or your 10 copies, but then you take like maybe a stamp you like, say you got like cool butterfly stamp and you just like each one, and then the next one you put it in a different order. So each one kind of has its own unique look, kind of like one-off. And yeah, here's another good one for binding a unique, you know, using your small stapler here. Has a good, that's like exactly the reach. This person probably designed it for their stapler, like I'm suggesting you should. That one, another single page. And oh, okay, here's a fun one. So this was sort of like that one I showed you from Haley, where it's all 8.5 by 11, but the staple's up in the corner. And that was used with the heavy duty stapler. Thank you. This one here, because the page is so thick that I had to like, and I had this and I thought like somebody donated this. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? And how do I actually bind with it? Because it's so short. It wouldn't even be like a skinny zine wouldn't even really, but like the answer kind of came with, oh, like what if I took an 11 by 17 sheet of paper, wrapped it around the 8.5 by 11, and then I just like staple the corner there. And that's how this project came about, just by the method itself, which is like really what I'm trying to push is like find, like look around you, see what you have available to you and develop your zine based on what is like the easiest way, the most sustainable way, and the most economical like way you can make them. Another great example. I'm really starting to like these. The more I show these off to you, the more I'm like, this is such a cool way to go. And then this one has like a chipboard on the back and like a nice stamp on the back. So it kind of gives it like a weight that paper itself doesn't have. It's really, really light. And it's like photos with like a Game Boy camera or something. Cool. And then last, second, for some binding stuff is this is Mail Mag, and this is what we send out to BAP subscribers, and it's loose paper. Everything in here is just folded loose pieces of paper. And I call this a zine. It's our monthly zine that we send out. And yeah, and then that kind of leads me into distribution. I want to talk about distribution a bit. This is a really nice size envelope for just like a traditional zine, like a half letter folded, which is what this size is. You know, this is a letter size piece of paper. This is half letter. This is like a half letter envelope. This doesn't take more stamps than a normal envelope would. It's just under the size that would be called an oversized envelope. So this is how, like, if you just want to send one zine to somebody, this is what I recommend kind of investing in or finding. It might come a little bit scuffed, but that's kind of a part of the beauty of sending it. So before I get into distribution a little bit more, are there any questions? So a lot of cities have zine fests that I recommend. Oh, we could switch. I
Yeah,
guess.
we're gonna switch the camera.
Oh wait, I'm gonna share one more.
Oh, okay.
I'll share it like this.
Yeah.
This is a cool zine we get out of this is a prison zine. So this gets sent to us through like the Florida Inmate Distribution Corrections Center. And they use like a legal size sheet of paper, and it's just one side, and they fold it up like a brochure. It looks like that, and it's a really great zine. And they review movies they watch on TCM and stuff.
That's so
Pass
cool.
that around. Distribution. Oh, there's a question.
So for this, Steve, how would people make rounded paper?
The rounded. So you
Can we
you
show it?
could. So we're asking about the rounded corners. There's actually like a punch that they sell at like Michael's or somewhere like that, a craft store, and it's like a hole puncher, but you can hit the corner. They're not very super reliable. We're gonna see if we have a version of them right now that I can show you. Yeah, cool, thank you. So this is what ours looks like. I've worked with ones that look like straight up like a hole punch, like a crafter hole punch. This one works by I'm gonna do it right over here.
Oh, I think you got the string in there.
I got the string in there, and there's paper in there. But you yeah, there's a reason we don't use this man. But you can see it's wanting to hole punch that. That should have been a return. We only used it one time and it didn't work. But the one that we were most successful with was sort of like, you ever see those big, it's like a hole punch that does like a star shape or something. They have them like that are corners. Those are much better than, I don't know why it wants you to like do this pump action thing. It's silly. But this person, I feel like, didn't use one of these. I feel like this person had something else, like had like a machine, or a copy shop had a machine and it was like done for them, because it's really well done. This could be done with a single page, could be done with something like this. Yeah, that answers your question. There we go. Yeah, that's the best I could get. So now that you've made your zine, like, how do you get it to people? So definitely sign up for Zine Fests wherever you like can travel, where you live. Sign up to all of them if you really like are down to travel, because you'll be surprised what you'll get accepted into. You can, show your previous work, but you could also apply based on what you're going to make too, which is a nice way to get you to make something. A lot of people work on a schedule of Zine Fests every year. Like, you should count on one. So apply, get accepted, and then you got that like stretch of time to really kind of make that new one. And that's a good way to kind of build up your like regular work. Another great thing you can do all the time is find some zine shops. There's a few all across the country that I could recommend. And they, on their website, they have information kind of regarding like consignment is what you'd be doing. So like you would set the price, and a portion of that would go to the store. So like locally, like in San Diego, we have Verbatim Books, and Verbatim does a 50-50 consignment. So you would set your price based on that. And I recommend pricing zines affordably. The more you make, then I think you can experiment with pricing like things higher or lower. If I like truly believe in like having like a spread that's like accessible to everybody. And that's kind of like my personal way of making stuff, is kind of having something that everybody can afford, even like a trade or like a giveaway kind of thing. So like when you're making your one zine for like a fest, maybe make like a secondary thing if you're not comfortable giving that one thing away. But with consignment, you can go to Verbatim in person, but there's also Quimby's. Quimby's is, I guess, like a chain, but even though it's like privately owned, I don't think it's a chain. It's just like there's like two of them. There's one in New York City, and there's one in Chicago, which is the first one. And that's a really great resource. Just like if you're ever in Chicago visiting there, it's really, really cool. There's also like kind of printed matter in New York. I think you have to apply. They don't accept everything there. And then also finding zine trades. You can find review zines. If you just search for them online, you can find people who actually will like look at your zines and send you a zine back, which is like basically a zine that's like a list of reviews of zines. That's kind of a fun thing to do if you're curious what like somebody would think of it. And a lot of times people who are into zines are really into mail, so they'll like send you other stuff too, like little letter that's like hand typed, and you can have like lots of fun with that form of distribution. And you can straight up just send them to anybody, like you want to, your friends. I know somebody who sent their zine to a YouTuber, and like I think Possessed is on somebody's YouTube somewhere. That's funny. Do it, like just send them to people. And then of course there is what else can you think of? I mean, oh yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, Zine Archives. 8Ball has a Zine Archive, and they're in New York City. Interference Archive too, and then in San Diego there's Scanners Archive. And actually you could send it to our PO box, and that would go to the Scanners Archive. So the Scanners Archive is essentially like the first like DIY archive in San Diego. We're going to be running it out of here, out of the studio, and basically the like group that is a part of BAP is going to be starting it. So that's kind of going to come in the summer. Somebody says little free libraries. That's cool. That's what this is about. This zine is about. It's called leftist leaflets in little free libraries. So yeah, thank you to Trixie. That's a great idea. I mentioned Scanners. So this is kind of how we organize our zines. We have a little thing that you could fill it out, or you could just send us the zine and we could fill it out. And we'll have that available on like a Scanners website eventually. And then this will be like kind of a physical library and a digital library archive eventually. And this is a great zine on poetry. Fragment says Betraying Authority, Fragments on Queer Art and Poetry. This is from Gender Fail.
Trixie mentioned the San Diego Central Library takes zine submissions.
Yes, okay, great. Yeah, we send our zines there. That's fun too, because SDPL, the Central Library, you could just mail it to their address and put the zine collections, and it'll go right there. And they do a fun thing where they take a scan of the front cover and they put it up on like a Tumblr account. So you can go yeah, like the cover of your zine on there. Yeah, that's fun.
The Particle FM ones showed up on their Tumblr. So,
Nice.
Yeah,
I sent those in.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Um, yeah, oh, I have a couple extra like random things that kind of beyond like a normal tool that I really like. This was kind of introduced to us from Hate Paste, and what it is a score pal. So this is like, I guess what you call a bone folder. It's just a piece of plastic. And you put your paper on it, and you would like score it here where the middle is, and it would create that fold for you. It's super handy. You don't need it, but I really love it. And it also gives you like a corner too. So like I like to put like my zine there and then like crease it sometimes too if I have like a lot of paper and I can't use the bone folder for it. But yeah, have a look at that. Score Pal, look it up. It's in every craft store. Do they still have craft stores? Like gift card.
I can pass
You know what I'm
it.
talking about? Like
Can I pass this out too?
yeah. I think they're at those ones, but like I remember them from what is it? Photo album stores. Do you remember those? That's where those were discussing. But anyway, yeah. Oh, this is great because this can show you like why you would need a paper cutter. As you can see, it's not the full size of a half letter because this person cut it down afterwards. But what that creates is like this really nice full color, like full bleed, like it's only black and white, but full bleed like images there. It just looks like super kind of pro, but it's just a simple thing of just cutting down your paper. And it's monotonous, but it looks good. And oh, this is cool. So this one has like zines inside of it. There's like another zine in there. And even beyond that, there's like transparency paper or sheet in there. So yeah, a lot of these are art zines that I pulled, but you know, we also have like straight up like this is movie reviews from 98, ads, all typewritten and typewriter. Yeah, I'll pass these around to see the rest of them. And I think that kind of covered everything I had on my list. Was there anything I needed to clear up? Were there any questions or anything at all? I want to make a recommendation to make, not just make zines, but now that you have like this kind of base set of knowledge, to also help your friends make zines and to work out like kind of trades with them, like help them make a zine. And then when you table, like distribute the zine for them and kind of build like a kind of like a friends group around it, or to bring like family members in. Let's see, I have another. Oh, do we have set hours and what is the address? Oh, okay. So we're gonna work on this because we're like in a private studio right now that's kind of, it's not very accessible. We have like a weird walkway and I'm not like 100% ready for that to be like, because we don't have hours right now. But with the kind of the scanners archive coming into play, we're gonna work out a regular time for people to come in and see the zine library and to have it accessible to them. We're gonna have like a scanner here for people if they like want to like save something, or you know, opportunities for people to kind of be in the space when we're here. Where do I and then I have a question saying recommend printing your zine. So I recommend printing it at home is what I really recommend. It's like using what, if like look on eBay, look in thrift stores, find a copy machine that is within your budget, or find a friend who will let you use their copy machine for a reason. If you're going to like, if you're looking for a business to copy your stuff at, you can do that at like a FedEx Express. You could do it at like a family-owned copy shop. They make booklets all the time. They know how to do it. If you just want to kind of do the layouts like I showed you and then bring it somewhere, they'll do a great job. But like looking on the used market, kind of giving new life to copy machines, I really support that. Does that help that? Do that, yeah, do it at your job. People do all kinds of stuff, right? People make like, birthday party invitations at your job. Like, you should use it too. You should get your copies like, just do them. Okay, good, you're welcome, G.
I had some questions.
Sure.
So what is, I think maybe a lot of people aren't familiar with risograph. So
Okay.
what's like the difference between just like using a regular printer and Riso?
So risograph printing is sort of like Xerox printing. When we do a regular machine copy, it's like usually, you have color and you have black and white. Well, black and white is sort of like the original way of doing it, right? And it's kind of reading like your color image in contrasts. So you're taking in like the highs and the lows of the image and kind of transferring that into a black and white image. I recommend messing around with that and seeing what comes out when you feed it. And you'll notice that the higher the contrast the image is, the more clear your image will come out in Xerox. But risograph is like kind of the same concept, but it's done on a Riso brand machine. So it's called risography is what people tend to call it, but Riso is really just like a branded machine. It's a guy who patented his way of printing, just like the Xerox person did, but his way involved this ink that is like kind of, I'll pull one out for you. So what we can see in the camera here. So instead of using heat and powder, you're using an ink, and it's a soy-based ink. There's a chip on it. Like I said, it's like patented and all this stuff. And you're also getting these drums. And this drum is black drum. You can see the colors on there. Each drum has to be designated for its color. So if you have a blue ink, you can't ever change. I mean, you can, but you're not changing it like day to day. And so when you're making your copy with risograph, you're kind of burning pixels onto a sheet, and that sheet is wrapped around the drum. And then your paper goes over the drum. The tube inside of the drum shoots the ink outward, and that sheet of paper, you have those burnt holes in there. That's where the copy is made.
Another question I had was mail mag. What is mail mag?
Oh yeah. So mail mag is this subscription service that we offer here. It supports the studio. It's the sole way that we pay for our overhead. And it is a zine we make here with community members and artists. And you can kind of subscribe at babinfriends.com. And it comes with various elements, like things that we just printed that month. Pieces of art, as well as articles. This is a piece. Oh, this is on all the best kissing spots in San Diego, makeout spots. Go ahead, take a screenshot so you know. We have zine reviews, book reviews, music upcoming shows, as well as a list of art events, gallery openings in San Diego, and photography. Just all this good stuff. This is like $5 a month for all of this. There's other tiers that are that support us, you know, because they're more money. But oh yeah, you like that? Good, good. And it fits all into an envelope. At the $5 tier, we actually send it in a smaller envelope and we fold this all up. But this is like at the $10 tier, we kind of pack it in this thing. Yeah, this month we also, let's see, we also talk about a summer mix contest happening at Particle FM. Submit your mixes there. You know, I got a meme. It says, you are not exempt from the consequences of your actions. You will receive judgment. There it is. Yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah.
No, thank you, Train. Do you know of people using zines for community organizing activism? Yes, totally.
Can I hand that out to?
Yeah, totally. Here's this. Okay, I'd recommend following Radical History Club. This is a great zine that's produced in San Diego. We had the great pleasure of printing the cover here at BAB, and then we had a binding party, little pizza party where we all kind of collated, put things in order, scored, and then Eileen just power bound everything with this string. I would also recommend, oh yeah, I mean, this is kind of my big rec, is finding this zine here. This is kind of on starting a community publishing project. This is a great way to get started as like an organizer through publishing. And it's through Public Collectors, and there it is on the back, the website. And I have like a bunch of these here if anybody wants to. It's just like a couple dollars on their website. And it's like a manifesto for like publishing, like, you know, using economical resources, and also like using your kitchen to store your paper, like kind of like all the things that I was reading this and I was like, yes, like I can relate to this. So this will get you started really like on, if you are interested in using zines for community organizing. And then a great thing too would be to check out Scanners once we get it going, because we're going to have things like tagged in our archive. And so that's like a good thing, is like to you can seek out by like looking up like activism. That would be like a tag that you could find all the zines that are kind of about that, and get inspired that way.
Did the tenants union, do they have a zine?
The tenants union, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
There's a zine in San Diego on unionizing your workplace that is good, and we're hoping to have them at Compressed.
Yeah.
Again, Compressed is the zine fair that we're going to be hosting, Particle and Bernal Books, in July 22nd. It's a Saturday.
Yeah, it's on a Saturday.
Yeah, and that'll be at Department in City Heights.
Yeah, we'll send a follow-up email with the information about the event, and if anybody here is like, also anybody here is interested in exhibiting, yeah, well, you can sign up, and it's free to table, and it's going to be like there's going to be zine exhibitors, there's going to be a few vinyl vendors. We're hoping to do live screen printing with some merch for the radio station, vegan food, coffee, music.
Yeah. Yeah, Scanners Archive will be there too. If anybody finishes the zine that they're going to start now, we would love to have it in the archive. So please, we're going to be like accepting like donations then. Yeah, it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Cool. Nice.
Slay.
Oh, Sophie. Hey, Sophie. Hi, Sophie's iPad. How are you? All right. Well, yeah, I think we're about to finish this up. Happy to take any more questions, any more slaying. Cool.
Yeah. So we're gonna send out this is all recorded. We'll send you the recording, put it up on YouTube. And we're gonna announce the compressed zine fair on Monday. And also just wanted to mention, like Nick mentioned earlier, we're having a mix contest on the radio station. So if anybody like wants to put together like a playlist or recording, we are taking submissions, and you can check all that out on our website, particle.fm. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, please share your zines with me, and also like send them to me, and also like, I don't know, send me pictures too if you don't want to like mail me one. But I'd love to see what y'all do. Links to the Mix Zine Fair on Particle website.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
let's put it here.
Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, thank you. All right, goodbye, everybody. Bye.